revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary.
They take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Where there's people, there is power. Justice in our time.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Shaun Buchanan from Equal Start today. About to interview one of my fellow campaigners, Lucky Achoy, from the Daddy's Voices Forum. A very active campaigner. He's helped me a lot over the last 17, 18 months since I've known him. He even came to my wedding a few months ago. So today we're just going to be talking about general things in terms of feminism, the families, non-resident parents, the struggles of non-resident dads when they're not in the home. And can you say hello, Lucky?
Hello, Shaun. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate your invitation, and it's good to see you again, brother. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you've had a long trip now, isn't it? You come back from the great time in the Far East.
Yeah,
I wish I could come out there with you. I've never been to Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's lovely. I've been in the sun for like 3 months. I was away for 3 months, and I really enjoyed myself. And looking back at what Hong Kong is today, it's beautiful. It's fascinating. The food, the culture. Yeah, it's really amazing to be back home sometimes, and yeah, to see families and friends, and yeah.
Yeah, true. Well, you're back now. Now we can get back on the campaign trail. So what we was talking about the other day with the non-resident parents thing. Since you've come back from Hong Kong, how have you found it? Have you found the mothers have been better with you?
Yeah, they've been good. I saw them. We've had a good time. We scotch things out. While I was away, I had an experience with my first child's mom. We talked every day for 3 months. And one thing, sometimes in life, even my daughter's birthday was in December. I came after her birthday back to London, and she was free. I was on the phone with her when we were singing happy birthday. So sometimes as a parent that I don't live with her, I might not be there for her in terms of like a birthday that I missed. So sometimes just been busy here and there. So I came back. I did celebrate her birthday, just me and her having a dinner, and yeah, we went to a buffet. When I came back, me and her mom and her, so we did have a good time together. Yeah.
That's good. So you see now that you're having a better time with them, what do you think was preventing you from before having a better relationship?
Yeah, the first thing, because I got 2 daughters from 2 different women. I'm proud to say that anyway, because my children's a blessing. It comes down to the culture background in terms of the relationship with me and my first child mom. We've got to a point where we've established this relationship together in terms of whether I'm around or not. She's there to take care of my absent being there. So I really appreciate what she's done while I was away. With my second one, my second daughter's mom, she wouldn't listen to me, and she thinks she knows better than me in terms of co-parenting. So because I don't live in the house with my daughters, with my children, as a non-resident parent in that environment with them, it's really kind of like a bad experience, because every child deserves to grew up with their parents together. So having that better relationship with them, is to see them more often, spend time with them, to build that relationship together so they could know each other much more better. And during this midterm holiday, I saw both of them together, picked them up, went for lunch, we played, we went down to the shopping mall. Yeah, it was amazing having them together and seeing them together and spending that time together. So what's preventing me from having a better relationship? I think I'm not being perfect. I've done it with my first daughter's mom, and it's working out with both of us. So the second one, it's not really working out. So everyone says all women are not the same. So I'm trying to do my best for my kids, not for their mom. I want to be there.
That's
So I don't want, I don't want anything to prevent me, like having a better relationship with my children and their mom. So it's really important, like being there in touch, sorting things out. Like, for example, when my daughters got into school, I left it for with her mom to sort it out. Number one, she was born here, I wasn't born here, so she knows the root of how kids in the school. So she knows the education system than that I do. There are some things that I let her do. I don't get involved into it because I push her to do to do the upper hand when it comes to those kind of things. So I back down. But when it comes to some certain things, I lead the road, and she backs down. So yeah, so that's how we work things out together, and things are working out between us. So yeah.
See, you think it's a cultural thing though? Why they feel they can handle you like that when you're not living with them? That they have the final
Yes,
decision on things.
yes. Some part of it's a culture. My children are mixed. I'm a mix myself, and growing up in that environment with my dad from Hong Kong, my mom's from Nigeria. Growing up in that environment, like, get to understand the two cultures. So I've got that background in me to understand who I am as a person from Hong Kong and Nigeria, from Asia and Africa. So in terms of the food, the culture, the life, the religion, the faith, everything, I know how parental care is to me, growing up in that environment with my parents. So I've lived in Africa, I've lived in Asia, so I could understand both my parents' culture. And when it comes down to the Chinese culture and the Nigerian culture in terms of parenting, it's similar. There's a similarity thing to that, which is, if you married, you're married, right? It's a love culture that we marry for the rest of our life. So it's like, when you get married in the altar, they say, to death do anyone apart. So that's how the culture is. So the culture in the Western world, or in England, or whatever, UK, Canada, America, it's similarity, because the kids are mixed, So how do you implement your own culture to that child's life? Because the only culture that child would know better than you as a father, because you don't live there. So that's preventing me from adding more culture to my children in terms of cooking, religion, stuff. There's some stuff they need to know. So yeah, that culture really play a big role and big impact to the children's life. because me growing up myself, like I said, I know what's good and what's bad from my mom and my dad's side, which is something I've grew up to become a man and a dad today. So now, how do I implement those things to my children for them to know their background as well? Just the same way I know my background, where I was coming from as well. So that really, it's important for me to express my feelings and myself to everybody about my culture, my heritage, my country, and the Chinese culture is like, when you get married to the whole family.
Yeah.
So it's either, that's one thing unique. It's either your wife's family, you get married to that woman, and so her dad, her mom, her brother, her sister, they're all your family. So there's no separation into that relationship. So it shows that love, like whatever we could be for 20, 30, 40 years. So there's no breakup into that marriage.
Yeah, of course, because that's a principle thing. That's the whole
Yeah,
institution of marriage. That's the way it's
yeah,
supposed to be. But I
yeah,
noticed more, well, how can I say, more Eastern cultures take that seriously still, where the Western culture has been undermined by the political system and the welfare system.
yeah,
So
yeah. You're
you
right.
think it's
Yeah,
thing? 1 minute, mama. Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
But
Same thing in.
you think if you had more money that they'd be more likely to listen to you? Yeah.
Well, money,
Yeah, because I
money.
notice when there's more money flowing, they're a lot more
Yeah,
amenable to man's suggestions when we don't live at the home.
yes, money adds to that, and I agree with you in terms of the money issue. You know, uh, you, when they see you have money and you're still single, yeah, they'll come running after you again. So that money plays a big role, and you sorting out bills with your kids, like I do. I pay my daughter's school meal every month, which I'm happy and proud
To do, yeah,
doing
cool.
that. I pay £65 for our school meal. She goes to school like 3 times a week, and every day they charge £5, so a week is like £3. So a month is like £65. And yes, so it's really kind of like, when that money is involved, their tones change. So there's going to be
Yeah, yeah, cool,
a
cool.
balance kind of thing, where you've gained the upper hand, because you want, you in terms of like, you want your daughter. I want my daughter to look nice all the time. So when it comes down to our shoes, clothes, I make sure I support, I do what's best for her, and when I was away, the our mom went down to this bike shop. She saw a bike, scooter, and she was riding. So I said to the mom, how much is the bike? So she said um £60. So I said, get that bike for her on her birthday. So I sent the money to her, and I said, please get her that bike. So, and she got that bike. She was happy. She likes to ride the bike, and even in the house. Yeah. So she sees me doing those things. Yeah, money plays a big role and a big impact into the um I'll say distance relationship, because we're not there together anymore. But the key fact involved in my daughter's life, that's the most important thing, for me. So I could see my daughter often, show her who she is, and let her understand our culture. So yeah.
So you see, with your work with UK citizens and at the Waldron, well, was it TSIP he's working with, wasn't it? Is TSIP or was it Centric?
Yeah, I was working with as a freelance with TC,
Yeah.
with Centric, and I was doing a community support worker in the community with this organization called Holistic Well Women. So just have that experience in the community to do a lot of things and give back to the community. So, and I really enjoyed it, meeting people from different backgrounds, sharing stories to each other, hearing people's stories, meeting people, making connections, get interested in different cultures and
Did you have many
backgrounds.
parents come there? Did many parents attend when you was doing that?
Yeah. Like, I've got quite a few ones when it comes down to parent when they come down. Yeah, mostly most of them comes full parent, which is the mom and the dad. Sometimes you got divorcees, you got single moms, you got elderly people. So I get to share ideas and see what it's all about, because everyone's got their own stories going on, which is in terms of the questions you brought down to the table when it comes down to parenting. So hearing different people saying their own children, their grandchildren is going through what me is going through because of parental issues. So sometimes I can't really blame people, because no one is perfect. So when I hear from a grandmother and says my grandson can't see he's never met his dad before, I thought to myself as a dad that's really strange. Or he does not have, or she does not have any contact with the dad's family or the dad himself. And so I think to myself, coming back to that question, like so what's really the cause of all this thing? Is it the country we live in? Is it the political laws?
Yeah, you know it is, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm
is
glad
it
you
the
touched on that.
policies? Yeah, so everyone's got different opinions and different says to that. So I think me personally, I can't speak for other people. I could only speak for myself, which is it's what I know, because I'm going through that same thing in different ways than them going through their own way. And so it's all mixed up with the government, because with the policies and laws and things like that. So how do we make a better relationship between parents? Because it takes two parents to have a child, and it takes two parents, yeah, to become a mom and a dad. So if that child only sees one parent, only focus on one parent, that mom, my mom's family, my mom's side, my uncle. So what about the dad side, which is dad is not there, so it's not present. So I think there's more to be done when it comes down to these issues and disease. I call it disease, So if there's no cure to that disease, there's no medication that everyone has to take. That's what I can say to that. Yeah.
And to be fair, look, you see, like, did you read that email I sent you from the social change agency about why they wouldn't post on the fiscal platform?
Yes.
See, so it's things like that that hinders male voices in these spaces.
Yes.
For instance, the community guidelines, what they try to say, the community guidelines that I contravened is absolutely rubbish. I showed them each point of where that community manager, development manager, was wrong. Now, what they've done, they've closed ranks now and said, oh, look, we can't do that because of you broken. They said that, but I've proven that I haven't broken any community guidelines. They said there's a lot of speculation. They said, then the same things that you talk about in terms of equality and equity, you're pulling down yourselves through hypocrisy. So how can you prevent me from being hosted on a fiscal platform when you've got consultants talking about trans women and men trying to invade female spaces, and that's what leads to more assaults? So these kind of mentalities, these odious kind of, toxic feminism and misandrist mentalities that are lurking in institutions and in the public sector where they're supposed to be a service to the people. Now, we know the law is supposed to be neutral when it comes to gender, but then the people interpreting them and the gatekeepers and the policymakers have that gynocentric, misandrist mentality. So that's the kind of thing going on in the background when it comes to before we even get to, you know, have mediation for our children. So when the women know that now, as single mothers know that, and it's adversarial, what do you think is going to happen? So I mean, so I've been trying to show people, even, you see, like even the other day with that, you know, remember that man from Raising Boys to Men, that Arundel? Some quack study about there's no no, it doesn't. There's no improvement in life outcomes if the dad's not in the home. They even went as far to say, he wouldn't name the study though, the research that he was reading from. When I asked him who's the author and what year was it created, he was silent. So I said, how can you say that, have those studies saying that there's no benefit for men, fathers being in the home, and that single parent families, the children's life outcomes and the mental framework is just as good, if not better, than they are with two-parent homes. I said, yeah, maybe when the two-parent homes are in conflict or it's abusive, but not when it's stable. That's well known. So I said, I'd have to look at the control factors used in those studies and the author, what kind of background they come from. Because, you know, there's a lot of feminists masquerading as, you know, activists saying that they want equality and equity and to protect women from abuse and mistreatment. When I said, so if they're coming from that context without no, you know, impartial research, what do you think is going to happen when it comes to the summary and conclusions? They're going to find a way to concoct and fix up the stats so it looks like what they want to promote. It's like controlling the narrative. You know, it's like with Palestine at the moment. You've seen they're trying to demonize Hamas as if Hamas is all the people in Palestine, when they know full well that what they've been doing since 1948 is wickedness. So we're always up against that, as well as what's going on in the home when we're not there, when parents are in conflict. So that's why we got to do more, to be fair. We need to do more and come together as collective as men to change things, because a lot of these social media commentators, as you know, they're only in there for clickbait and a few, you know, likes, so they can get their little affiliate marketing advertising. So when I'm saying let's come together now and do something that can make real change instead of just talking and commentating, they're very, oh, well, you know, I'm not really into that. I don't think that changes anything. I said, but what you're doing is changing everything, yeah? Is that creating awareness is good in one hand, but then when do we stop with just creating awareness and we actually do things to make actual change? It's going to take much more than just making a few viral moments, mocking things and laughing at people and saying, look at this. We need to do much more. And I noticed the will in our background and with our agenda, there's not much will to really make no changes.
Yes, I agree with you. And because there's no much actions out there, and the changes are a little bit little, so the policy coming out from the gatekeepers or from the House of Lords, whatever, making those policies, like men are kind of like, we're not as much as where, for example, the LGBT, the gay community comes out, you know. So if dads as a group like that and start imposing all this law for the government to understand that, you know, there's been so many things going on which you guys need to pay attention to us as well. So because we don't have that voices at the moment, it's really hard. And that's why we want to change that narrative with them and say, you know, let there be equality, you know, let there be equality between male fathers and their mom, because it takes a while or a long time to start a relationship, right? Excuse me.
Don't worry, Lucky. We can remember, once I get hold of the data and the video, it can chop it, it can edit these parts. So you don't worry about that. Just deal with what you need to do.
I just want to grab water. Yeah, sorry about that. Just grab some water.
That's all right.
So
done still.
Yeah, so I think we have a long way to go, in terms of making it more awareness into the community and waking the dead dads up, so that there could be a life back again to see there's a changes going on around the community, and a space for them to share their voices as well, because there's so many dads going through different things. So because the law is being placed there, they get scared that, I don't want to end up losing paying child maintenance, or losing not seeing my child. So everyone's got different narrative and different opinion, but in my own opinion, that I think, like, yeah, there must be equality for dads. There must be changes for dads, even though you don't live with them. As a we can't say we're a single father. You know, having a child, not being there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So that's a long, so I think there must be equality overall for men. So that has to be balanced between both parent and men and women.
Yeah, of course, definitely, because that's the only way you're gonna have fairness. I was telling one of the activists the other day on at a meeting, with the APPG for fathers. I said, you're never gonna drive out misogyny by reprimanding men that are reasonable and decent and that have a positive impact on their children. I said, at the moment, you're putting us all in one basket, like basically like all men are abusers, all men are potential, rapists. Said you're doing that, and I said, and then you have the optics with the mainstream press, like the national news, legacy media, and they're promoting that same narrative. And then you said you've got the quack researchers, and academics coming in there with their concocted stories and masquerading that as it's proper research. I said, and then you get people that take the research out of context and try to paint a narrative to support what's going on there in demonizing men. I said, when wickedness and dysfunction, mental health issues doesn't know any gender, it affects all of us. So I said, we can understand that men need reprimanding when they're errant or abusive, but I said the same thing should be done to women, regardless that they're the birth parent. I said, once you've given birth and they've weaned them off the breast milk, what is it that women are capable of that men are not capable as parents? That's what needs to become to the fore, because at the moment they've still got they want the modernity with like, women need to work, we need extra support, we need better protections from errant men. But I said, but then we're still in the Stone Ages when it comes to men that want to have a more hands-on approach with their children. They're still being told that you're the breadwinner, you go out there and pay the tax and make sure you pay your child maintenance service payments. And if you're removed, that's okay, as long as you take care of your responsibilities while you get the crumbs of the access. And that's what's wrong. And everyone knows it's corrupt, you see what I mean? That's why I know it's driven by government with this colonial mentality, it's like a divide and conquer tactic. And a lot of the activists scrambling for the little funding and campaigns are so concerned with making a career out of the pain and trauma of families. They don't mind if it continues, because obviously it keeps them in jobs, People like Charlotte Waxman and Jess Phillips, these odious politicians that promote that narrative, they don't mind that, because that's how they stay in their positions, getting paid to promote their poison.
Sometimes when I think about, like, yesterday, I met this guy. I went down to the shop and I bought something from the shop. So I went down to the counter and I was like, so we just started talking, and we ended up talking up to an hour. And he was sharing about he left London down to Sussex. So, and he said he's left his 8-year-old daughter in I think in Croydon. And he said that he's really down, so he's moved back to live with his dad all the way back to West Sussex. So was explaining things to me about his relationship. Everything was sweet in the beginning. Had his child, his daughter, and all of a sudden, the mom said she doesn't want him anymore and brought a new boyfriend inside.
Okay.
You know, the house is paying for. He's been working. You know, he left. He left when the girl was free. He hasn't seen his daughter since then.
And you know how
So
often that happens? What I noticed, that happens quite often, but it's never publicized in the press. They don't really give it much, media highlight, because that's not what they want people to hear about. They want to
yes,
always have their victim mentality. Oh, poor damsel in distress, mistreated, or if that has happened, what has the man done for
yeah,
her to do that to him? That is
yeah,
always the rhetoric, which I,
yeah,
I despise and obviously try to campaign against. Because if the
yes,
man throws a woman out now and makes her homeless and says he's commandeering the children, they will tell you
yeah,
about, oh, he's wicked. How could he do such a thing? But the
yeah,
optics when it comes to women, they think, oh well, they probably done something wrong. They probably were,
yeah,
weren't taking care of their responsibilities, or they're mistreating her emotionally. So that's the whole thing that we got to get round and
yeah,
make
yeah,
sure that we
and
have it in documentaries, on the news,
yeah,
on social media, that we
yeah,
have actual research instead of these narratives where people are always talking about their personal experiences. When
yeah,
there's 70 million
and
people in the country, we need impartial
yeah,
research made public so the people can have a read and see what's actually
yeah,
going on in the country as a whole, instead of just looking at their own personal
yeah,
circumstances, personal companions, and judging everybody by that standard, because it
yeah,
doesn't work like that. Mm.
yeah. So when I said about the gatekeeper and the lawmakers from the House of Commons, now the gatekeeper in my own narrative are the media, because the media would not show you what's the reality of the thing, because it's been controlled by the government. So, but when there's this carnival of things, it's more in the media than things like this that needs to be
Mm. Of course.
publicized in the community of what's the cause of when a dad become an alcoholic, what's the cause of a dad become a drug abuse,
Mm. Mhm.
what's the cause of a dad death at a very young age. So they, there's so many things, there's so many causes why. But if it's um LGBTQ anniversary party carnival, it's all in the media.
Mm. Mm.
Um,
You know why
but
they say that, don't you? They say it's because they've got a marginalized voice. I said, yeah, but whose voices are more marginalized than dad's when it comes to, interpersonal relationships? They said
yeah, so
we don't even have an official, men's day where the international women's do. He said you've got international days from the United Nations about pets
yeah,
and dogs, but there's none official one for men or dads.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy. It's rank
yeah,
hypocrisy, and that's something we've
yeah,
got to stop. But in summation, still wrapping up on that, um,
yeah.
I want people to tell people more about TSIP and the work you've done at Centric, and how you're going to try and change things.
Uh, jobs are done with TC. It's been amazing, fantastic. They've really come into Southeast London, mostly Walworth Road, Elephant. They boosting the community in diversity of different cultures, the Spanish, the Caribbeans, the Africans. They've done researches, they've done feedback back to the institutions of, for example, like King's College, this student
Yeah, I went to that one. I
making
went to
this,
one of them ones. Yeah.
yeah, making researches of how can they develop and use this in day-to-day life of humans.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of workshops, activities, like the air pollutions. I've been to like 2, 3 events of their air pollution event, which some student came from Denmark. They said Lambeth was the highest polluted area in London.
Yeah.
So it all covers the whole Lambeth area, which is from Vauxhall, Clapham Road and stuff like that. They've done medical things with King's College Hospital. Yeah, they've done a fantastic job. I mean, if I didn't have that experience with them, I wouldn't have known a lot of things going on in the community when it comes down to all this thing, like poverty, low cost of living, that issues, and centric as well. Yes, same. They do the same things like that. So that's opened my eyes in the community to understand my community as a resident in that area, to know what there's different causes going on in the community that I can't even figure out myself. That, you know, and we've got the councillors that represent our constituencies. So how do we even get to meet all these people? Not when there's a cause of alarm. That's when they come to organize an event. That's when I get to meet my MPs or my councillor in that ward that represent that area. That, oh, what are you guys doing today?
Thanks for coming along today, Mr. Achoy. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. And I want to say thank you for your support to the community, to all the dads. Without you, I don't think we could make this work out in terms of doing this interview and talking and, you know, meeting people. And you've done a really good job in the last months, years, and, you know, and it's not stopping. So we keep moving on, and people like you, we need more people like you to push this positive movement so that the word could be spread for everyone could understand what it is like from the first question. Like, you know, I don't have to be a resident in that same house, and it's it affects me and affect my children. You know, that's number one key point. And you know, the culture involved as well, you know. So in terms of those policies, because in Africa there's no policies like that. So, you know, and there's no kind of law that says they have to go and call the government to come and intervene into child maintenance or child policies and stuff. So you know, and that's why most people from that background, even here, we could only see like well, I can't say majority. I would say there's a between gap here and there. Most children that from African background, they still live with their parent, you know. So the ones I know, not everybody, and so I can't speak for things I don't know about. When it comes down to because the women they feel more more, they've got power on their shoulders, and they know the government is there to back them up. So and we're trying to change this narrative of things.
Yeah, definitely, of course, you have to. Otherwise, there's going to be dysfunction consistently in society. But on that note,
yeah, so we could all have the same equality. Yeah, we don't want, like, we want to be involved in our children's life. You know, we want to do the best. You know, the ones that wants to be there for their kids. I'm not speaking about those ones that would like, I don't want to be there. I'm talking about the ones that really want to be there. So if they could see those campaigns going on, those ones that doesn't want to be involved before could not have a different narrative that, okay, this thing is really good, so I want to be part of it as well. You know, I want to share my own experience as well. And yeah, so it's really a good thing you're doing, Shaun. And you know, it's you you're a father yourself, so you've seen the blue and black and white of
Of course, of
the whole
course.
thing. And yeah,
Yeah, first to a row. And on that note, thanks for coming again today, Mr. Achoy.
you're welcome.
And
You're
remember, where
welcome.
there's people, there's power. Justice
Yeah,
in our time.